Welcome back to another episode of the Tacho Show. I am your host, Tacho, of course. All you lovelies out there looking for some more content. So yesterday we put out this video here, top 5 units of each color, and there was a little bit of gloom and doom going on here. We can just quickly open it up and take a look at some of the comments. That hold on, where was it? Somebody mentioned like Powercreep. Your list shows the problem with Faye. 13 out of the 20 units you chose are units that came out 3 months ago. And possibly if you were to redo this same list in 3 to 4 months from now, the results would probably be the same with 10 plus newer units on the list again. Fabricio Stancer, if that's how you say that. Yes, you are 100% correct, Fabricio. If you've been playing this game for that long, then you've already come to realize that's the name of the game. I don't understand why, like, there's a moment of revelation for a lot of people that this is the final straw. Like, this is where the game spirals out of control. This game has been spiraling out of control ever since Book 5, I would say. Like, when they introduced Kanto and when they introduced Pathfinder was really when it seemed like they were getting a little bit too crazy with some of the effects. So, power creep is something we have known has existed ever since the beginning, but 2 months ago, I made this video here talking about units that I thought were immune to power creep that would never get phased out, and why don't we go ahead and take a look here and see if any of my choices have managed to stand the test of time of 2 freaking months, and if they're still going to be viable right now. Let's go ahead and quickly pull this up and let's see. Alright, so we'll start all the way from the top. Alright, so I did it by page. I think I had like 4 separate pages open here in the unit builder with 5 units apiece. So we're starting off over here. We have a bunch of duo and harmonic heroes here. So Duo Dagger, of course, I think she can still certainly be a good unit to use. If you're going to run her in summoner duels, of course, just popping that duo button and turning your whole team into a Pathfinder party is always going to be useful and always going to be effective. So I don't really think she has felt much of the full effects of power creep right now. You can still run her for sure. Maybe in combat for herself, she's definitely not going to be winning any awards. But that's never really been the purpose of using this unit. It's just make a Pathfinder daisy chain, just run up and attack the enemies right in their face. And then, if possible, Kanto yourself out of the way. But one interesting thing has happened lately with the appearance of Emblem Lyn and her ring and also Styles, which we may see more of in the future, where units are able to actually attack from more than 2 spaces away. So Lyn being able to attack from 6 spaces away kind of defeats the need for Pathfinder in the first place, right? Like, they actually power crept movement and warping by not having to move. You literally just attack from the same space you spawn onto the map from, which I think is a really bad precedent because it breaks a lot of the foundations and fundamentals of the game, where if you're going to hit and run somebody, you always got to be on the lookout for Kanto control. If you're going to like do something like that in Aether Raids, the traps are always a concern, and you're probably going to get revenge killed by the enemies after you get your KO after warping in. The enemies are just going to run right back at you and get the KO there. Like in the case of Emblem Celica, where, yeah, she can warp in and take something out, but then she's a sitting duck right after that. If you're attacking from 6 spaces away, it's really difficult for the enemies to regain control of that situation. You just took something out. You sniped and you got a free KO. Now, what is the response on the enemy's team? Nothing, right? Like, they can't really come back and get a revenge kill at that point. So that's why I think where we are right now, attacking from the starting point is just a little too strong. So that might be one of the reasons why this could end up aging out. But as we are right now, I think with only Emblem Lyn and her ring being a possible, like, 6 reach advantage, I don't think Pathfinder is really going to fall off yet. But it could in the future. Okay, then we also brought up Duo Thor, who I brought up in this video as well. We can go ahead and scroll here. So, Duo Thor, as an honorable mention, she ain't going nowhere. Ever. We just got Dosage that deals with Nurgle being able to steal bonuses. So, really, the only way to deal with enemies stacking a ton of bonuses is still Duo Thor's Duo button. And it's still better than Mythic Loki because it activates mid-turn. Whereas Loki only can turn off bonuses at the start of the turn, Thor can do it whenever. So this effect, as simple as it was when it came out, is still as strong as ever to this day. So this unit, I don't think is ever going anywhere unless they want to release another unit that does this. And does it mid-turn like they do, as opposed to start a turn. Alright, then we have Bride Katria over here, who I think aged really well, surprisingly well even, where she had a moment of fall-off where it seemed like she was actually not going to be relevant anymore. And then we just ended up getting Emblem Lin and the Lin Ring, and now it's like, okay, so you can attack from a starting position. You don't need to worry about positioning anymore. So the fact that she gave triangle attack to everybody for brave attacking was kind of like on the fall off, was because it was hard to get your units into the right position to really take advantage of the triangle attack. But that's not the case anymore, where if you've given triangle attack to Lin or someone with her ring and they are attacking from 6 spaces away or 5 spaces away, all your units are going to be grouped up next to each other. So that's no longer an issue. You're guaranteed pretty much every time to get the triangle attack. So I think Katria has aged very gracefully, all things considered. Alright, and then we have the Ninja Duo heroes here. We have Ninja Lin and Ninja Korin. Both of them have actually fallen off legitimately now. Prior to me making this current video that we're talking about, I think they still would have had a little bit of relevance, but not anymore, with the addition of Marnie as a Grand Hero Battle, who just outscores both of these duo heroes. You can't really run them in Arena anymore, and that was my main use case for them. They could still, like, hold it down in Arena, but not really. You're not running them anymore. When the free-to-play units outscore these two, that's, like, really hard for them. Alright, then over here, we've got some armored units. So we're starting off with Duo Idun, or not Duo, but Ascended Idun, who I think has aged very well. Considering the fact that you can just toss, like, Shield Fighter on her, that's really all you need. She nullifies effective against armor, I believe, so that's also really good. And especially good against one of the only melee-type units that can beat Shield Fighter, which is the Brave Crom after his refine. If you give him Potent as his B skill, and then he snags a bunch of bonuses from people, he can start to get to a point where his 3 attacking from Potent is enough to beat Shield Fighter. Probably not against Idun, though. If she's able to nullify effective against armor, then she's got Shield Fighter, she's got Pavis, and then eventually she's going to have, like, near save Briar to add to the mix. At that point, it's probably just going to be impossible for Crom to be able to break through a unit like this. So certainly still a very solid use case for her. Alright, then we have also... It's interesting that I had Fa in here prior to her remix, because of course she just got remixed and she is very good right now. Like, actually astoundingly good. But prior to her remix, she actually still kind of was good anyway, because you could run all the support stuff on her, give her, like, Kanto Curb, give her High Dragon Wall, and then she's still just a miracle unit that was difficult to get rid of. So I think, like, even before the remix, there were arguments for Fa to be an interesting unit. And right now, it's, like, obvious that she is a very good unit. So she definitely aged well. This Grima over here has a lot of speed, so if you're going to give her Shield Fighter and then she has enough speed to maybe avoid getting hit by a Brave Attack, which, let's be real here, that's probably not possible. Considering that speed is one of the stats that they like to just shoehorn onto a lot of the recent releases, probably not likely for her to outspeed anything anymore. But yeah, just like another armored unit. Every single armored unit became meta again after Shield Fighter came out. So hard to really argue against her. And being a near saver is in a much better spot than being a far saver as well, because the near saves have much less pressure to deal with than range units do. Alright, Legendary Fa there. Yeah, like, I showed off some other skills you could go for. If you want her to be the standalone tank, this is probably the build you would run on her after the remix, if you want her to just live a longer life. But, like I said, Kanto Curb is an option for her. High Dragon Wall Barricade is an option for her if you just want her to be more support role and then also still have the ability to live anything with her Miracle effect. So, yeah, she's still very good for sure and only got better. Okay, we have this unit in here. I don't even know why I have them here. I guess it's just because they can take 3 actions. By extension, I guess the Winter Edelgard would be able to do this too. So you just run Gale Force on them, and then Raging Storm gives them an extra action. So extra actions is an effect that isn't really going to age out until the day comes where they release, I don't know, Gale Force Control as a C-slot passive, and then if your opponent has an effect that would give them an extra action, you just end it. Like, people have actually been asking, can you believe people want that to be an effect? Like, people want that since the release of Brave Felix to be able to just stop him cold. I think that would be a little too harsh, though, because Gale Force is very important for the health of the game, specifically in AR. If Aether Raid's offense is no longer able to Gale Force, like, that would have dramatic implications for the future of player phasing and all this, that stuff. So I don't think I want that type of effect to be in the game, but I think it's really insane that a lot of people do actually want it. Like some effect to nullify enemies getting extra actions. But until that time comes, I think there is certainly a case to be made for all of these Edelgard units, even Fallen Edelgard too, where she has an effect that gives her an extra action after she enters combat. Like, just getting bonus actions is probably something that's not really going to age out, because it's not something a lot of units can do. So, there we go for that. And then we have also Emblem here. A lot of people are very high on Bride Emblem and also Attuned Layla, or Rearmed Layla right now, because, of course, they've got Undefended. I don't know if I'm in the same camp, though, because I think all you got to do is run King Freyr or any penalty cleanser. Now, there's a ton of units that have a duo button that just penalty cleanse right on the spot. So, Undefended, I think, is a little bit too inconsistent to rely on. It should never be your, like, okay, I'm going to enter a fight. I'm going to have Severance from Emblem or Undefended from Layla. I'm going to turn off the enemy saves. And then I'm just going to sweep their team with Emblem Lyn. I don't think that should be your primary goal, your primary modus operandi, to speak. Because if the enemies have any sort of counterplay, then you're just, like, completely out of luck. So, I'm not too high on that. Emblem did get a little bit of a resurgence, though, because of Shield Fighter. So, being able to have her turn off the enemy's ability to use save was very good. At least up until we got Lay Radar, who does something even better. Giving Assign Decoy is better than Severance, I think, because then you can just guarantee attack something and take something out. So, yeah, Emblem actually fell off mainly because of Lay Radar, more so than, like, just counterplay to Severance. But the counterplay to Severance does hold a factor for sure. Okay, then we also have a bunch of dancers here. So, all of these dancers had action economy for the time. Hatari Azura, like Emblem Sigurd, and Duo Dorothea, and Ninian, all of them can dance and then possibly dance another person with, or take another action in the case of Ninian with, like, duo buttons and so on and so forth. But right now, a lot of the top-tier units like Ninja Lucina, both of the Haithrun type units, all of the Crom and Robin type units that have reposition and extra actions, we're getting so much action economy out of units right now anyway that it's like kind of a moot point to have to run a dancer. They've been completely phased out for Aether Raid's defense, where everyone just runs Haithrun instead. You can set up a rally or movement trap with her, and it's just better. In the long run, you don't have to run like a dancer-type unit that cannot contribute outside of just being able to dance. So, I think dancers actually got phased out, which is kind of crazy to think. You can still, of course, run them. It's not like they're... It's like suboptimal or any, well, suboptimal is probably the right word, but you can still certainly use them and they're still very good. Like just being able to dance a unit and give them another action is always going to be good. So they have fallen off a bit, but they're not like completely unrunnable. So like dancers are probably still going to be one of those units that age really good. And then we have Mythic Asker at the end here, mainly because just like offensive Mythic heroes are very good because they just... If you're going to plus 10 anything, I would say the Mythic heroes are the best ones, the offensive ones. Because they're just going to score high forever. Like, they just permanently raise your score for Aether Raid's offense. So, I've got Air, Milla and Peony with a ton of merges, and they're all very old Mythic Heroes at this point, but I'm still always running them anyway because they give me max score. So, yeah, like, any offensive Mythic Hero is just going to be, like, the only thing you should even think about plus 10ing. If you're going for a plus 10 of anything, I would say any offensive Mythic Hero would be the right choice. All right, and then finally we have these guys over here. So, this Chrom has certainly fallen off now. I think it's safe to say. He used to be really good for the action economy. Like, he's got an action economy assist, and then he also has his duo button, and he also cooldown pulses, but who the hell cares? Ninja Lucina came out and does everything this guy could possibly hope to do, but better. So, yeah, like, he's not really doing much. And then combat-wise, he's probably not doing too much either. Maybe you could find a way to get him to beat some armor types. He does have effective against armor, but it's probably not likely. So, I wouldn't keep my hopes up with him, sadly, but could you still run him in a high-level, like, Summoner Duels match or something and still win? Yes, of course. Because he still does, like, the bread and butter things that he wants to do. He can reposition allies, he can cooldown charge them, he can pop his duo button for extra actions, he can run Kanto curbs, so he's not like a nobody. He's not like completely useless, but he's certainly not on the level that he was. Alright, then we... Okay, I don't even know what the hell I was thinking having this guy in here. Because like I said earlier, when we were talking about Duo Dagger and how they power crept movement with not having to move, that really applies to Reeve as well, because the only thing this guy does is stall. That's the only reason you would ever want to run him. So if the enemies are not even moving, nobody cares about stall, right? Like, that doesn't even matter. Or gravity or, like, any of that nonsense. Who cares? Just attack from 6 spaces away. So, yeah, this guy really didn't age too great. If I wanted to show off a stall unit, the one I should have showed was not him, but actually the baby Mark. Because at least he's also got a duo button, which is really good, where he can also inflict isolation, which we're going to talk about with this unit over here. So, Baby Mark and the Summer Hilda have an isolation duo button, which is actually like a game-winning effect. If you're playing SD and you get hit by isolation, that could be game over right there. Just turning off the enemy's assists, that is so strong right now. Like Ninja Lucina, we've been talking about her all video. If she's not able to pop her assist, that just completely takes away all of her value. So if we're talking about a unit inflicting isolation as strong as it is right now, I'm actually stunned that they haven't released a more modern unit that has isolation that can work in Summoner Duels because of how strong this actually is. And I think someone brought up Hilda too in this video. Someone mentioned something about Hilda. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. Yeah, right here. Okay, I have Krabs56. I just got jebaited by reading Homeboy's name there. But I don't know how prevalent penalty cleanse neutralization is, but Summer Hilda has always been underappreciated. Absolutely correct. She can inflict isolation mid-turn with her button, like you were talking about, mid-turn support, like Ninja Lucina. Since she's a staff, she has Ice Lock and Magic Shield now, which Ice Lock is really good. So her being able to get that is really good. And action economy for basically 3 turns in Summoner Duels with her button. The biggest issue with button healers like her and Elise are that you probably want to equip them with Lin Style to AoE grab, but that just means you can equip it on somebody else, I guess, or bring another healer with Lin Ring. Mercy is my favorite 3 Houses character, so I'm honestly glad Hilda got the staff ult and not her. Otherwise, I'm not sure I'd be free to play anymore after that banner. But honestly, who gives a fuck about any of this utility if they have an unkillable save tag? Imagine inflicting isolation, gravity, Kanto control, anti-warp on the enemy. Give a God Sword, Lance, Repel to bop the enemy back and maybe win a match without even killing the enemy. If you kit her with Kanto, she can even Shadow Shift. Basically, what he's saying there is just, if you had a unit with Lin Ring and they're attacking from a mile away, they don't care about any of this. They don't care about gravity, Kanto control, anti-warp, like warp bubble and all that stuff. No, none of that matters anymore if you're attacking from 6 spaces away. So, yeah, I mean, this unit is a very interesting unit right now. Their duo skill is also reusable. I think it's on every third turn. So if you pop it on turn 1 or 2, you can just pop it again on turn 3, which is clearly a very good and very useful thing to have. So I don't really think this unit has aged out, but I think we're probably overdue for a good isolation unit, specifically one for summoner duels. And then finally, I had Emblem or Legendary Myrrh in here. I don't know why. She hasn't remixed yet, so like she has grounds for improvement. But after getting Barricade, after getting higher ground, and like, I don't know what the lifespan is going to be on these units that have, what is it, Warp Bubble anymore. Like Gatekeeper and Myrrh, their days are finally numbered. Especially now that we don't even need to warp anymore either. Like we can just attack from a mile away. I don't really think Myrrh was a good pick for me to have on this video, or Reeve either, for that matter. So, there you guys go. We talked about units who I thought were immune to power creep as early as 2 months ago, too. That's just sad. That's how much the game changed in the span of like a month. With the release of Emblem Lyn, so much has changed. That really refocused the landscape of the game. Particularly Lyn herself, her ring, and the introduction of styles. Being able to attack from more than 2 spaces is... that has an impact on damn near every single unit we just talked about. So that's going to wrap us up for this video, guys. Hope you enjoyed this little... I guess this was more doom than I was hoping. More doom and gloom than, like... I was hoping this would be more insightful and more helpful to people to say, oh, power creep. There are units immune to power creep. They're not going to get, like, kicked to the curb anytime soon, but... I guess I stand corrected. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. This is your boy Tacho signing out. So take care, and I'll catch y'all again on the flip side.